Welcome back to Finca Life. Today's our second anniversary of buying the house, of getting the key.
The key!
That's the key.
That was the only key we were given. All the other doors were secured with either a piece of wood or a piece of string tied to a piece of wood. So that was our key.
And today we want to talk to you about the buying process, what we did to get this place.
Yeah. I mean, we've been watching quite a few restoration projects on YouTube, as you can imagine, because we're interested, because we're doing the same kind of thing. And my burning question is always, what inspires you? How did you find it? What did you pay for it? Did you get planning permission? If so, was it difficult? None of these questions so far have been addressed. So in today's video, we hope to do that for you guys.
We're going to answer them all for you, or we're going to try. And if there's anything we missed, drop it in the comments and we'll address it later.
Hi, we're Sharon and Andy. Welcome to Finca Life.
In 2019 we bought a derelict finca that used to be a bodega in the Murcia region of Spain. The building was an empty shell with no main services, water, electric or sewage, and we're restoring it, doing all the work ourselves, with the view to giving us an off-grid, debt-free home.
In addition to this, self-sufficiency is very important to us, so we're going to aim to produce as much of our own food as possible, and the idea behind these videos is to log our progress, but also to provide you with something you hopefully find interesting and informative. Please join us on our journey.
So, how did this all start? It started back where we're currently living. A piece of land came up for sale, and this kind of caught our eye because we had an idea to put a log cabin or something like that on it. The lady that was selling it assured us that we could get permission to do this, because obviously we needed to be legal because we're working and paying taxes. We need a legal address that we can work and live at. So this lady assured us that we could get permission to put a cabin or something on there, because a friend of hers had done a similar with a piece of land on the next lane down. So after months and months, or what seemed like months, to-ing and fro-ing from the town home, it transpired we could do whatever we wanted, but it could never be legal. So
we started to look around online. We wanted a property that was affordable to us. To be honest, we wouldn't get a mortgage out here in Spain, and at our ages neither of us wanted to have a mortgage around our necks. So we needed to find a property that was affordable, but we kind of wanted something quiet. We live a busy life at the moment, or we did, with the business, and people turn up on a Sunday morning wanting to access their caravan, and we just wanted to get away, peace and quiet. So we started to look a little bit further inland.
So we started looking online for a place. There's lots and lots of people selling land and things out there, but they all say you can build on it, but you can't. Getting permissions out here is so difficult. So we started looking, and we actually found one that ticked all our boxes. Went and had a look at it. It was actually this one, and immediately, my gut reaction was, yes, this is the one. Let's just not muck about. Let's do it.
I have to confess, I was thinking, oh my God, what are we taking on? But it was exciting as well.
So it had actually been reduced as well, according to the website, and so we spoke to the agent, and of course it had lots and lots of interest, but they all say that, don't they? So basically we put a bid in, like a low bid, which to our pleasant surprise was accepted. So we paid a deposit, and the whole of the premise of the sale was based on the fact that we could get legal permissions to renovate the place and live in it.
So the first step was we had to get an engineer's report to prove that it wasn't a ruin, because over here, and I guess that's why you see so many ruined properties, you cannot get planning permission to restore a ruin. It has to have a roof and 4 walls. Fortunately, ours did, and so that was the first hurdle over.
That's about all it did have.
Yeah. So from the engineer's report, we employed an architect who...
we engaged the services of an architect
architect
who spent 7 months being completely doing nothing and being a waste of time, and in the end told us that they couldn't do the project for us. So we had to get another architect, and turns out the guy was absolutely fantastic. During the time we were waiting for this architect and then the next architect and then everything else, we were actually unable to do any work on the property at all. We put in, that's when we did all the digging and put the septic tank in and solar panels. We weren't supposed to, but you know, we had to start something else. We didn't know how long it was going to take at all, did we?
No.
So going back a little bit, we couldn't do any work until we got a project. Now we bought this house based on the fact that we could get a project and the permissions. The engineer's report came back saying it was a ruin, so then it transpired that we could get permissions to do it. It wasn't a ruin, yeah, and so we could get permissions. So we went ahead and bought on that basis, and then you can imagine our dilemma when the first architect said that she couldn't do it.
Yeah.
You know, we had everything just poured
Absolutely
into this
gutted.
place, and
Yeah.
it's an absolute nightmare. Bureaucracy and things like that in Spain can be very trying, I think is the word.
Fortunately, we've got an absolutely brilliant solicitor, and we spoke to her, and as Andy is autonomo and registered as a builder, we asked her, can we do it ourselves? She looked into it and she said, yeah, I think you can. So Andy drew up the plans, exactly what we wanted to do, which was nothing out of this world. We're just restoring what's already here. We don't want to change anything really structurally. We drew up the plans. We spent hours and hours at the ayuntamiento. 3 occasions I think we went, and in
Bouncing
the end
from department to department.
Yeah, in the end it was no valley. So back to the drawing board. And again, thanks to our fantastic solicitors, I can't recommend enough you get a good solicitor.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's absolutely imperative that you get a solicitor that's got your back covered and protects your rights and looks after your interests. All should do, but we've heard various stories to the contrary.
Yeah. So getting back to the solicitor, and we said we need a different architect, and she came up with this guy who was absolutely amazing. Came out, did a visit, took loads of photos.
Dropped everything, his phone.
He was a bit clumsy, but he was a nice guy. And again, this was all during lockdown last year, so it was really difficult for us.
Lockdown started just as
we were due to go back to the town hall.
To the town hall to get everything signed off.
Yeah.
And of course we couldn't go because no one could go anywhere. We also, actually, the big stumbling block on the timescale was we needed a waste contract. You've got to have it, you know, to show that you're disposing of your waste or any waste you've got properly. And we made appointments to see. We had all one set up with a company, a large company.
Yeah.
And then when it came to it, they said, "Oh no, we can't do it." It just goes on and on like this. It's so frustrating. And in the end, there's a local guy. He runs a skip wagon, and he managed to get it for us. So yeah, thanks for him as well.
And then, of course, because of COVID and we were locked down, we spoke to the architect and we said, can we not do this via email? Why do we have to go to the town hall? And that is the only thing that COVID has done for us. We got our project.
And speaking of projects, here it is. It's and you see that? Yeah, you can. It's absolutely
Huge.
Massive, pages and pages and pages and pages of legal things can and can't do. You even get two DVDs with it. So fortunately, yeah, we was able to submit this online. It might be handy that his friend works at his friend he went to architect school with actually works at the ayuntamiento, so I'm sure that did go in our favour a little bit. But yeah, in the end we got there in the end, and here it is. You've got the licence right at the front there, in case anyone wants to come and check that we've got it. We've got everything, it's all there. black and white, fantastic.
So, as we said at the beginning of the video, today is the 2nd anniversary of us completing on the house. Took us a year to get those planning permissions, and since then we've done everything that you've seen so far. We've been sharing with you now for the past 6 weeks.
Beginning of April.
Beginning of April. All that's left really is to talk to you, as promised, about the costs and the fees involved.
What did it cost? Yeah. The house was advertised for 39. The house originally was on at 39,950, I think it was, and the owner, reduced it to 35,000 euros. That is, we offered him 30, which he tentatively accepted, but there was the clause with that. The condition with that was that we paid his costs to the local authorities. Everyone pays taxes, but whatever you do, if you buy, you sell, the buyer pays, the seller pays. I think his fees would have been 1,200 euros. So basically, the house cost us 31,200 euros. Now this is where the fun starts, and another thing you really need to be careful of in Spain. The fees and taxes, which are the cost for your notaire, the solicitor, I'll do them in a minute, the cost for the notaire, the taxes for the purchase tax, all that sort of thing associated with the authorities, came to 3,900 euros. Now they have this thing in Spain, it doesn't matter what you actually bought the house for, the ayuntamiento, the authorities, put their own value on it based on its square meterage and its location, and they quite often come back to you 2 months or so later. It can be a long time later, and they actually came back to us. They wanted another 2,800 euros because they valued it at 55,000.
This is for a house with no water, no sewage, no electricity,
no windows,
no glass in the windows, no keys even to the door, well, one, and holes in the roof.
On a hill. We know it's not got a road to it. So it was our solicitor that brought this to our attention, and we said, well, what should we do? She said, you can contest it if you want, but obviously it's going to cost you a lot of money to do this, and you might not win. So we just took it on the chin and paid it. We considered that was the best thing to do. So altogether, the fees and the taxes and the additional taxes were 6,700, and that's pretty standard, as a percentage. I think it's between 7 and 8% you pay on the not the purchase price, the perceived value for the authorities. And then all your various other fees and stuff. Everyone who's buys a house in there, it's really expensive to do. And if you're selling again, you've got to pay. I'm not sure what the percentage is of that, but your estate agent, he'll be taking
about 10%.
8 to 10%.
Yeah.
So we will never ever be moving.
No.
So it won't ever be for sale. So for what it's worth, it's totally irrelevant. So the next thing. Our solicitor's fees in total, these were fixed before we even started with the sale. They were 1,800 euros. We had to pay 50% up front when we engaged them and started it, and then the rest was paid at the end when everything was done and we were satisfied. Again, I don't know what solicitors cost in the UK for buying a house. I'm sure they're not nearly 2,000 euros. And the final cost was the project itself, this massive book. And it's actually got to be registered with I think it's the School of Architects is the term that's used. So the architect's got to be registered, and then the project's got to be logged with the School of Architects as well. And that was a tidy 4,500 euros. And given that the majority of this is just standard stuff that's just printed out and turned off, but you've got to pay it, so we did, which makes the total for our 30,000 euro house. The total we paid was 44,200 euros, which is 50% more in cost. So bear that in mind if you're planning on buying an old project in Spain.
Yeah.
We're not bothered, you know. It's irrelevant academic, but similar properties that have been restored in this area are going between 250 and 300,000. So even doing all the work ourselves, I think we've spent 20 grand so far. You know, we're going to be well in with that. So, you know, overall we're happy. We've got a beautiful place to live. It's bought and paid for. It's debt free with no bills. All we get is maybe a water tank every 3 or 4 months if it doesn't rain at all. And so yeah, I think we're pretty happy with that, are we?
Yeah.
Good. So we'll probably open a little bottle of bubbly after, well, bubbly, it would be some cheap sparkling because we haven't got much money left after spending all this. And have a little toast and you know, to the future and all that. So yeah.
So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope it has been informative, because as I said at the beginning, these are the kind of questions that we wanted to know when we were looking to buy.
Basically, don't do it.
No. Top advice, really get yourself a good solicitor. And we went with a Spanish solicitor, and I know a lot of expats prefer to go with a British solicitor, and that's fine, but you know, sometimes if you've got a Spanish solicitor, they know the system, and she was absolutely fantastic. So that's my top tip: get a good solicitor.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Crucial. Yeah, crucial.
Yeah.
You know, I think we had an instance with ours where it looked like we may not be able to get these permissions, and the estate agent, we paid 5,000 deposit on this, and normally your deposit in Spain is non-refundable.
Yeah.
But because we stipulated that we were only buying this house on the condition that we could get permissions and the project, he was going to not give us our money back, but it was our solicitor that made him, you know, not give it to the client, because he needed to keep hold of it in case he needed to give it back to us.
Yeah.
So just little things like that, really, you know, do get yourself a good solicitor.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And apart from that,
I think we've waffled on enough, haven't
Yeah.
we? If we have missed anything you want to know, say pop them in the comments below.
Yeah.
You know, we will do our best to answer any questions at all.
and finally, all I'd say is it does sound like a real headache, but it's worth it.
When you're sat here, yeah, it's worth it. Surrounded by rubble and things, it's well worth it.
Yeah. So go for it, folks. If we can do it, you can do it.
Absolutely. And if you have enjoyed today's video and found it informative, please consider subscribing to the channel. It doesn't cost anything, and if you check the little bell and select all, you'll make sure you don't miss any of our future videos.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Hopefully tomorrow.